afternoon, guys. Welcome back to my channel and another video. So we are talking about your horse's warm-up routine today. It's actually a video I've wanted to do for a really long time. So my horse's warm-up has stayed the same since I was a teenager, probably down to the dressage trainer I had at the time. But I had the same sort of plan or structure or routine, whatever you want to call it, that I did with my horses then and I do with my horses now. Now, obviously, it's adjustable. Not all horses are the same. They don't all act the same when you go to shows or when you're warming up. But the kind of fundamentals of it stays the same for me. And I have different stages. And within those different stages, obviously, I'll adjust it depending on the horse. Now, we already know that by warming your horse up properly, you're going to allow them to perform at their best. You're going to help their muscles be more elastic. They're not going to come out all stiff and tight. It's also going to help prevent injury. But there's also another reason why a good warm-up routine is so important. And it can really install a lot of confidence into your horse. Now, if you've got a horse that's naturally anxious or gets a bit nervous or maybe is really bright and buzzy when they get to a show, if you have practiced your warm-up routine regularly at home, when you then take it to a show and you start doing that same warm-up routine, it really helps your horse become confident quite quickly, because they're like, oh, we've done this so many times. It's like doing a dressage test. They've done it so many times. They're like, oh, I know what we're doing. Instantly, they're more confident. Instantly, they settle a lot quicker because you're doing the same work you do at home at that competition. So actually creating yourself like a warm-up plan is really useful. I'm going to show you the stages of my warm-up routine and talk a little bit about why I find each of these stages really important. And yeah, this is a routine that I do with all different types of horses. I just adjust the stages slightly depending on that horse. So let's go and get Mr. Coop out and let's get cracking. First up for me is stretching in walk. This is something I do for at least 5 minutes with my horse at the beginning of any warm-up session. So allow them to walk around at their own pace in a sort of long and low, stretched out outline, putting very little pressure on them, allowing them to really relax, take in their surroundings, and just allow them to slowly warm up their muscles, especially if they've been on the back of a lorry or in a trailer before getting to the venue. A real chance just to allow them to take a moment to breathe as such. However, Mr. Corp is an absolute pro in this. He loves to stretch. He's very chilled. If you have a young horse, it might not be so possible. If they're a little bit fiery or a little bit excitable, you have to be safe. So in which case, I'd say move on to the next stage, which is walking and doing a little bit of flexion, doing some halts, doing some lateral work, giving them a little bit more to think about. So you can see here, I've just collected Mr. Coop up a little bit, not too much. I'm not wanting too much from them. I would spend 10 to 15 minutes working in walk, from the stretching to the kind of lateral work. I never think you can not do enough in walk. I think it's great for the horse mentally, it's great physically for their body. So I mean doing a little bit of flexion to the inside and to the outside, on a circle, on a straight line, just helping your horse gain a little bit of suppleness, getting them to start using their core strength, engage their hindquarters, throwing in some halts, again, just getting them to start listening to that half halt, listening to your aids, moving on then to a little bit of lateral work, so making sure they move away from your leg when you put a little bit of pressure on. You could do a little bit of leg yield or a little bit of shoulder in, mix it up. But especially if you've got quite a lively young horse that when it gets to a show can feel quite panicked in a new venue, this kind of work can be a great way to settle them while also allowing them to warm up their body properly and also giving them the time to think about what they're doing with their feet. I think if you jump straight into trot, sometimes they can feel quite rushed. So I can spend hours in walk, I really can. And in between that, I might do like a little bit of medium walk, a little bit of collected walk, a little bit of long rein walk. Like there are so many things you can do in walk to not only help them really warm up, but also get them focused and listening to you. So just as I did in the walk, I then stretched my horse in trot. So looking for that roundness over the back, taking the head and neck down and out, looking for that lovely loose swing through the horse's body. This is a great way to slowly increase their heart rate, really start to warm up those back muscles. It's also a great way to really find that nice, even rhythm with your horse. Lots of nice bending, some big circles. It's just a really good to start getting your horse really warming up, get that activity. As I've done it in the walk and the trot, I then stretch my horse in canter. Now, if your horse is safe enough to, I really recommend standing up in your stirrups first off in the canter so that your horse can really move under the saddle. They've got no weight restricting them. And I find this way they tend to be even rounder over the back. They tend to drop the head and neck down even more. I find standing in the stirrups also is a great way to really get the horse moving nice and forward and in front of your leg. So if you have got a horse that can be a little bit stiff, a little bit tight, or maybe just a little bit tense in the canter, this can be a great way to really open up the stride, allow lots of energy to keep coming through them. It's also a great way to really make them nice and supple and soft through their body in the canter. I find it also kind of gives a really nice regular tempo to the canter. So I'll often stay with a circle because that helps with the softness in the frame. I would do this for a couple of minutes on both reins, and then I'd give them another walk and a stretch because by now they should start to be feeling quite warmed up. Now I would move back into the trot and start working on transitions, on and back, lateral work. This is where you would adjust this warm-up routine depending on the horse you're riding and the level they're working at. Your horse should be fairly warmed up by now. The first stages would be the same for a horse working at any level for me, whether it's a baby horse or a horse working at medium, advanced and so on. Now I would change it up depending on the horse's ability. So I'd say with this routine today, Corporal would be working at kind of a prelim novice test level with a couple of party tricks just thrown in for good measure. So lots of transitions. I want to really try and fire up the hindquarters, get the horse to start taking a little bit more weight behind, a little bit more of a kind of up together frame, so no longer a long and low and stretched out. Lots of back and forth within the rhythm. So I want to feel that when I put my leg on, the horse moves forward and away, and then when I sit tall, use my seat aids, the horse comes back and collects. And I want to feel like there's some oomph. So, you know, when I put my leg on, the horse is quick to my aids. It doesn't take them sort of 3 or 4 seconds to get moving. So that's why I would do lots of transitions, lots of back and forth. Then the lateral work, really working on my horse's suppleness, getting them to really bend around my inside legs. So some leg yields, some shoulder in, switching that over to the other rein, really starting to feel that movement through their body, the expression, the cadence. And here just attempting a little bit of half pass. Coop hasn't done one in a while. So just as I did in the trot, I now work on the transitions, lateral work, back and forth in the canter. Now this is my chance to really make sure my horse is in front of my leg, plenty of expression and power within the canter. Make sure that they are feeling soft through their body, that they're responsive, that they're listening. So I like to do a lot of medium canter, back to a collected canter, make sure the horse is really listening to my seat aids. Now, not all horses work best doing the trot work and then the canter work. Some horses like to do it the other way around, do canter, then go back to the trot. This is why it's really important to work on your warm-up routine at home and really understand what works best for your horse and gets the best results. I will then give my horse another stretch before doing my final practice movement. So this is the last few minutes before maybe I'd go into the dressage arena and do my test. So again, depending on the level you're working at, it may be doing some of the test movements, for example, halts, maybe a half pass, maybe making sure your medium trots are on point, making sure that your horse is really listening, a little bit more collective work. Whatever you need to kind of tweak or perfect before going into the arena, this is what you do in the last bit of your warm-up routine. I thought I'd pop on quickly and finish the vlog there. I hope you enjoyed. I'm not sure if it's of any interest to anyone, a warm-up routine, but hey ho, I've posted it now. Of course, this is just a little glimpse into my warm-up routine. I think I posted about 7 minutes of video, so obviously mine will be a lot longer in reality. And of course, as soon as I started editing it, I was like, I missed bits off. For example, I love to do a lot of canter with my horses in the warm-up. Find that's great for straightening them up, getting them to use their hindquarters. Lots of lateral work. I don't think I emphasise that enough. I really do a lot of lateral work and also use transitions within the lateral work to really help kind of supple the horse up, get them again to take a little bit more weight behind. And of course, how your horse warms up at home is not how they warm up at a show. It can be very different. So even though I have a set routine, it's always adjustable depending on my horse's mood because they never come out the same each time. I think it can be really good for a rider as well to have a good warm-up routine plan in their head. It kind of takes away any stress when you arrive. You know what you need to get on with and you can adjust it accordingly as you start to warm up and feel what your horse is like. I'm going to leave that here because this is Storm Kieran coming in, and as you can see it's quite windy and this is going to make a horrible noise down the phone. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed and see you again soon for another vlog.